Hey gorgeous, this is episode number 440 with the wonderful Elena Bensonoff.
Hi, this is Elena Bensonoff, and you're listening to Heart Sells, podcast with Christine Schlonski. Enjoy.
Well, gorgeous, if you are using intuition in your business, then this episode is for you. And if you are not yet using intuition in your business, then you will love this episode. I have a conversation with Elena, and she's going to talk about that sales is just an extension of everything you are doing. And she is so right about that. Elena is an award-winning holistic practitioner. She's also a consultant pharmacist and the founder of Holistic Inc. As a pioneer in the fields of functional, regenerative, and energy medicine, she has been sharing her gifts for healing for over 20 years. Using her clinical skills and medical intuition, Elena has been able to support clients in reducing stress, ending digestive issues, overcoming chronic illnesses, and more. She's also the author of Holistic Wisdom, Awaking Your Inner Healer, which is a #1 Amazon bestseller. I'm so excited to have her on today. If she's not combining modern medicine and ancient healing modalities to improve her clients' health, she's spending quality time with her partner, 4 kids, and 2 dogs. And it's not just about the 2 dogs that we connected. I just love Elena's teachings, and I can't wait to share them with you, to dive into some energy work and how you can use more of your intuition in your business. In case we have not met yet, I'm Christine Schlonski, the host of Heart Sells podcast, where I talk with inspirational, successful, heart-centered entrepreneurs and business leaders about how they have built a wildly successful business. Some of my amazing past guests include Bob Burke, Ian Altman, Andrea Waltz, Natalie Ledwell, Kate Erickson, Susie Carter, just to name a few. This episode is brought to you by Heart Sells Academy, where we support heart-centered, ambitious entrepreneurs to redefine sales so they can exponentially grow their business and impact while creating a lifestyle and freedom they love. If you want to know more, hop on over to christineschlonski.com and find out. So let's dive into this amazing episode with Elena Bensonoff, and let's find out what you can learn about energy, about intuition, and how you can use this even more in your business. Well, I am more than excited to have you on the show today, Elena. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Christine. I'm excited to be here with you.
Yeah, this is going to be so interesting because, we touched on a lot of topics around sales, around success, around mindset. But today we are going into a very interesting direction, and we are going to talk about frequencies. And with everything you have already done in your life, I'm so impressed. And what you have managed to accomplish with another way of looking at things, I want to say, like definitely not the traditional one. There's like a whole wealth of information people might not be aware of. So when you think about selling, what comes to mind first?
When I think, first of all, I don't really connect to selling. I connect to being yourself. And when you are being yourself in your true authentic power, in your heart, sales is just an extension of everything that you're doing.
I love that. Sales is just an extension of everything you're doing. That's a quote right here. So this is amazing. Yes. So tell me, when you started your business path, did you always have it like easy to sell, or was there something you had to do to maybe overcome some fear or being reluctant to sales?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I came from a background as a pharmacist and a clinical pharmacist and board certified in functional medicine. I remember making a decision that I wanted to shift from what I was doing, working in a compounding pharmacy setting, and of course, having my clinical hours as well, interacting with patients at that time, I made a decision that my path was going to be very different. So I made a leap of faith, and I never thought about sales. I just thought about following my heart. So I went on a journey of energy medicine. And the biggest and the hardest thing was, of course, letting go of salary. And then I didn't know what to charge people. So that was probably the hardest thing. And then feeling guilty for charging was one of the biggest obstacles that I had. Even though I had all this education, I remember thinking, I don't know enough. I'm not good enough. So I don't know what to charge. But it wasn't until, of course, years and years of doing the work that I do and having an amazing support team of friends who would encourage me to tap into my own self-worth and make the connection. I had to make the connection that charging actually money is energy exchange. And that when I was being there for others, it meant that I had to receive something in return for, of course, the work that I was doing, the amount of wisdom and knowledge that I was sharing, and of course, the outcomes that my clients and my patients were seeing.
Beautiful. Yeah, I love that. I always talk about energy exchange because it kind of demonizes money, right? We see like oftentimes, especially as heart-centered people, money is something you shouldn't be asking for money, or money, if you have enough or too much, you're going to be an evil person. Like there's all this belief system that keeps us from following our hearts and for doing good in the world. Because if we struggle, how can we be of service? So for people who might not know, what's energy medicine?
Well, first of all, we're all energy beings. Everything is energy. And if you think of, or if you've looked ever into quantum mechanics, into quantum physics, everything that comprises our physical body is made out of atoms and particles. And those particles are 99.999% energy, which is information. So we're literally information existing in the field and expressing itself in the physical reality.
Yeah.
So energy medicine is, I call it energy medicine. It's looking into a person, not just as a mechanical way. If you think of how the medicine trains people, this is your symptom. This is the organ that is impacted, and therefore this is the pill that you need. When really energy medicine is about having a holistic approach to understanding that perhaps emotions, right? Unresolved emotions, which is also energy, if they're unresolved for a long or extended period of time, will contribute to physical symptoms and therefore leads to many chronic conditions. So it's important to address the entire person, their body, mind, and soul, and get to the root cause of what it is that is causing the problem to begin with, instead of putting a Band-Aid on, right? And saying, okay, now you're good to go, until the symptom comes back again, even louder.
Yeah, I so hear you. I always try to see sales as a holistic thing, because it's not just the act of selling or inviting someone and exchanging money. There's so much more. If you're happy and healthy, you show up differently. People will buy more from you because they get, you're like a magnet. They go towards you. While when you're grumpy or you don't feel good in your body and your skin, people feel it. So maybe I'm doing energy sales.
You are. Actually, you know what? In my book, I write about how I distinguish body, mind, and soul, and I talk about it as if it's a company. And I'll share that with you.
Yes.
So I always say that imagine that your mind is the CEO of a company, okay? Your body or the organ systems are the employees, okay? And the mission and vision of the company is the soul. So it's impossible for the mind or the CEO to focus on the soul mission when there's chaos amongst employees. What that means is if there's chaos in the body, it's impossible for you to have balance, peace, and also focus on your divine mission of what you're here to accomplish. So absolutely, it translates into companies, it translates into sales, it translates into the way you're living your life. So it's important to have harmony and flow in every aspect of your life in order for you to show up and do the best that you can do and enjoy.
Yeah, I just love this picture. It's so true. When you see your mind, maybe your logical capabilities, and you just only focus on that, your life will not be complete. Only if you have all three, the soul and the body, all connected, that makes you really thrive. That's when people, when I look at you, and it's obviously people will not see you as it is an audio podcast, but I mean, you are like a little sun. You're radiating, right? And you can see like the peace, the harmony that's around you. And most of the people don't have this quality about them. You feel there's something kind of off. And I'm so grateful that we're going to talk about some movies I sent you where you tested energy. So to lead into that, can you tell us a little bit more about your work and what you are capable of seeing or sensing or analyzing? I don't even know how to call it, so that if somebody is kind of new to this world, they have the opportunity to get an understanding and kind of overview, so that we then can go into certain movies and also understand why we might resonate with them, why we might love them, and why maybe we don't.
Yes, excellent question. And thank you so much for your nice comment. Where to begin? So my nature is to be an investigator, and I have a very curious nature. So therefore, it led me to a path of wanting to understand the nature of reality. What is it that makes us feel a certain way when you are around a person? Like you just shared, when you're around some people, you just feel like there's sunshine around them. Or you walk into a room and either you're excited to be in that space, in that room, or you just want to run away and leave as quickly as possible, right? So What is that, right? That's energy. And what exactly does that mean? It actually means that there's frequencies. We're all like radio stations that emit frequencies, vibrations, our state of being, our consciousness to the outer world. And we interact with the consciousness of everything that is around us through these frequencies and receive this information back in. So imagine that every single human being is a radio station, emitting and receiving, emitting and receiving. So this is how you know when you're in resonance with information, when something makes you feel good, when someone else makes you feel good just by being in their presence, or perhaps walking into a building makes you feel good or not. So tuning into this ability is powerful, and recognizing that your own vibrational frequency and how you think, how you view, how you live your life actually can either empower you or imprison you. So as a result of it, Alejandra and I, who is my other half, we created a system using different instruments. We use 3 different instruments simultaneously to test the frequencies and consciousness of everything that exists. And at this point, we've tested already over 5,000 different things. We've created our own platform where we have weekly explorations into the consciousness of everything that exists. And what initially inspired us to do this work, besides being very curious and wanting to understand why is it that we felt resonance with some things and dissonance with other things, including information, movies, right, news, books that we were reading. We stumbled upon years ago reading work of an incredible doctor, Dr. Hawkins. So for those people that have never heard of Dr. Hawkins, he wrote an incredible body of work. And one of his famous books is called Power versus Force. And this is where he created the scale of consciousness. So of course, the scale of consciousness became our inspiration to create the body of work that we did. He talked about different frequencies, a scale of consciousness that he created, but we expanded it even further because we realized we're not just that one number in space. And our frequencies change throughout life, depending on what circumstances, events, and situations we go through. So every human being, what we call walks a hero's journey. Most human beings, we should say, walks a hero's journey. We incarnate and are born at a certain frequency. We leave at a certain frequency, and we experience all these different frequencies throughout life. And that's the beauty of life. Is, of course, some of us will experience love. I think everyone experiences love and knows what it feels like, but also sadness and grief and anger and guilt and shame. And the difference that sets you free from whether or not you want to stay in that frequency or leave and move on further is the amount of attention you give to that particular emotion. Because if you stay in a certain emotion long enough and you expand on it, you're going to embody that particular frequency. And this is the frequency that either can hold you hostage or can set you free, right? And this is also the frequency that the environment and people around you will feel. So if you want to embody love and peace, you'll walk into the space and without a word, people will know exactly who you are.
This is so powerful. I just want to touch upon why do we have a frequency, just for people who might be new to this topic and think like, oh, frequency, like what do I do? It's because we are energy, right?
Yes.
And energy radiates, energy has a frequency. So that's why you talk about frequency. Yeah, so every person is their own little radio station, so to speak, and connects with another station at the same level, meaning if I'm happy and content and in harmony with myself and the world, I probably attract other people who radiate at that same frequency. While when I embody misalignment and I don't feel good at all, I'm really unhappy with my life and I radiate that out, more circumstances, more people with the same frequency will be attracted to me. And that's why it's such an important topic. And I'm so happy we're going to touch on it today. I can't say cover because it's a huge topic, but that people can get a taste of what to do in their day-to-day life so they attract more people into their life that they love, like their soulmate clients, for example. And they really get to work with those people that they get excited about working with them. So I just wanted to make this short remark, and please add to it. I'm by far not a specialist, but I just thought, what would I ask if I'm not really familiar with the topic? And why do we talk about frequency?
Yes. So another way to think about frequencies, of course, frequencies are linked to different state of beingness, different states of consciousness. It's linked to how do you ultimately feel? Feel peace? Do you feel guilt? Is guilt or fear your predominant emotion? Because is this what you're projecting out? So think of frequencies as feelings. And your journey in life is based on how you feel. And this is what you resonate out into the world. And one thing I want to say is it's so easy if you're not aware and not very consciously aware of yourself or the environment to attract and attach to masks, because it's very easy for people to put a mask on, right? Whether it's a beautiful outfit or images that you see people post on Instagram, social media, or create different prints and magazines, right? And we tend to idolize other people that are in the masks. And of course, every human being wears a mask, but ultimately your frequency speaks volumes and your frequency can never be hidden. Because when you tune in to the core essence of who you are, you'll be able to tune into the core essence of everything around you. And therefore, as you said, attract exactly what you are being in the world. And keep in mind that all of us are connected. Every human being matters on this planet. Every human being plays an important role. And what we do is we've distinguished that there's actually shadow and light that exists in this universe and in this dimension, this earth dimension, in order to have the contrast, right? So light, in order for light to expand, the shadow players will always exist. And I think the movies that you are leading into are great examples of what makes you feel good, when you watch something, when you consume information, whether it's watching a film, listening to the news, reading a book, interacting with a friend or an acquaintance, everything emits frequency. So whatever you consume, it will create an impact on you. So I think becoming conscious consumers, conscious beings will set you free from falling into the trap of what we call the matrix hijacking, where there is a definite distinction. What we noticed in frequencies, the scale of consciousness is going from 0 to 1,000 for human experience, 1,000 being a fully integrated being with no resistance whatsoever. Anything below that, of course, has to do with the resistance that we're experiencing, right? Frequencies below 200 have to do with the illusion of separation from the inner self and therefore the collective, right? Because we're all, think of us all as that one organism, the human organism, right? And 200 is what we call the bridge, the gateway of courage, which every human being, of course, is capable of walking through. And this is where you have a big realization, aha moment. I'm not alone. I'm here to explore. I'm here to enjoy life courageously, right? And then you, of course, you go up and up and up in the ladder. But, you know, life is not linear. Everything is an experience that builds upon awareness and expansion of that. So it's knowing when not to get trapped in the lower frequencies of guilt, shame, fear, apathy, anger, right? Pride, false sense of pride. And understand and appreciate those moments in your life, but know that they also, those shadow aspects, will help you propel and jump over the bridge to something much greater.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And when you understand that you can actually manage your frequency by harnessing the positive emotions in your life, by opening your heart, you can go up on that scale. Even though if you are not there right now, you can change it. And I think that's the beauty of it. You can make that decision, and then obviously it needs some inner work, but it's not like you're stuck on the level of guilt and shame and on that low frequency for the rest of your life. If you might be there right now, right? You can always change that. So that's so, so beautiful. And we have actually, you asked me to give you some names of movies that you can test on the scale. And I've chosen a handful. And you also came up with some other movies. So we're going to share that in the second episode, where I'm so, so excited to go deeper into this frequency and into your work. For right now, I just have one last question in regards to what was the very first thing that you ever sold in your life?
That I ever sold in my life, in my business or in general?
Like in general, in your life, the very first thing you remember where you exchanged service or product for money.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Wow. Okay, let me think. I think for me, it would be service would be when I was working in a pharmacy and then seeing clients or my patients at that time. So charging for service of doing their wellness assessments and recommendations, that would be the first sales that I've done as far as, I guess, as far as back as I can remember.
Okay. Well, sometimes people have sold lemonade at the corner of the street, or cookies, or they came up with something and went around the neighborhood. And it's
I didn't have that because I grew up in the former Soviet Union, so sales was forbidden.
Yeah. Okay. Totally get that. So when we go to your first, well, I remember my first sale as a salesperson back then. How did it feel when the first client said yes to you and paid you?
I couldn't believe it. And I remember I was excited, but at the same time, I had fear that came up. Yeah. And that fear was, I hope people like the service they receive, and I hope they come back.
Yes. Yeah. And thank you for sharing that so openly, because I feel that that's a fear of so many entrepreneurs, especially when they start out. I had that fear. I was like, well, now I sold it. Great. But what if they don't like it? Right? What if I don't deliver what they think I'm going to deliver? So thank you for sharing it. And obviously, this is something we totally can overcome with amazing client experiences.
Yes. Yes. And, it takes practice as far as silencing that voice, because for me, that voice was also my father who was talking to me and making me doubt myself, which actually pushed me to do even better. Right. And it's learning to silence that and following truly what resonates with you and what is your deepest calling in your heart.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much, Elena. This is so much fun. And I'm really curious about the movies, especially I gave you one that is actually one of my favorite movies. And you said it wasn't in such a great frequency. So I'm so curious to find out more. So thank you for having been here. And I can't wait for our next conversation.
Yes, thank you so much. I can't wait to explore those frequencies of films together with you and the audience.
Well, what an interesting and fun episode. I hope you have gotten a lot of golden nuggets out of this one. Hop on over to ChristineSchlonski.com, find the podcast tab and episode number 440. You will have the show notes, the resources we talked about, and all the links that connect to Elena. Also, you want to make sure that you join the next episode where Elena is actually talking about the frequency of some really famous movies, especially some sales movies. And that will give you a totally new clue why you might be not drawn to sales and why you might have a hard time loving sales when you have watched some of these movies. So hop on over to ChristineSchlonski.com, check out the podcast, and once you're over there, sign up for the empowerment notes. That's empowerment right into your inbox, where I share some of my tools, where I share some resources and some tips and advice that I usually do not talk about on social media. Thank you so much for having been here. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in this beautiful world. And I'm saying bye for now.